right, we'll be back from the break. Let's continue with business today. Now, we look at the Uganda Wildlife Education Center at its 70th anniversary. A crucial driver of Uganda's economy and a significant impact of source of foreign cash tourism has been the center of discussion at the 70th anniversary festivities of the Uganda Wildlife Education Center. It has a 6% GDP contribution to the national economy, and UWEC employs about 200,000 people, contributing an 8% share of the country's tourism industry and a sizable portion of the employment sector that has helped the economy of the nation to grow. Naba Lillian has more of the details.
That is the official logo of UWEC at 70.
The number of tourists visiting Uganda decreased from 1.5 million as of the current year in 2021 to 400 in 2022. Looking at this year in the previous 6 months, we have reached 500 and anticipate reaching 1 billion visitors by the end of the year, which will boost revenue to 1 billion. Tourism generated $1.6 million in revenue prior to COVID.
Last year, how we had dropped from the 1.5 million to around 400,000. If you look at this year, in the last 6 months alone, at least now we've improved. We've gone back to around 500,000. So I believe that by the end of this year, because of the reopening, we shall still go back to the 1 billion visitors visiting Uganda, and therefore even the amount will go up. So we believe even the revenues will go back to at least beyond $1 billion shillings. It will be short by around $600,000 because we say what we were collecting before COVID was 1.6 million. But at least we believe we shall hit the 1 billion mark if we continue at this trend.
The number of tourists increased from 3,600 to 5,400 between January and June of 2021 and the corresponding months of 2022. Following the COVID pandemic, Ugandans now make up the majority of tourists in comparison to foreigners.
Last year in 2021, between January and June, there were around 3,600 visitors to work. But this same year, during the same period, 2022, we've gone to around 54,000.
To help identify wildlife poachers, Uganda Wildlife Education Center also plans to establish a biobank with a DNA forensic laboratory.
We also intend to put in place a biobank with a proposed DNA forensic laboratory to aid in prosecution of wildlife crime traffickers.
Naba Lillian, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, Naba Lillian with that report. Now, let's get into something to do with payment or salary disparities. Pay disparities occur when people performing similarly sized occupations don't receive the same payment for the labor they offer out. Employment equality is determined by job content rather than job descriptions. Then pay disparity descriptions may take place on the basis of a person's race or sex. Today in our feature story, Fred gives us more of an insight in salary disparities in Uganda.
Salary disparities in this country is one of those hot discussions. But what needs to be done, and where do we begin from? COSASE, the Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authority and State Enterprise, is a standing parliamentary committee that recently broke silence by exposing the lump sum amounts earned by the top aviation bosses at the expense of other workers. It provided audit, accountability and oversight into payment dilemma.
$43,000. This payment hasn't been made yet because we don't have an agreement. So Paul and his team and procurement have been having discussions with DAS on how to handle this matter.
But earlier on you said you have some MOUs with DAS that you're going to share.
Yes, we have some MOUs with DAS because we do a lot of work with them, being our handler, and those we will share with you tomorrow.
Okay, so yes, those. Now, this particular one. So you're saying your finance team is handling. We want to know how they are handling because the time has since passed. DAS is saying you owe us this money.
Outside public sector performance, the private sector is crashing on a problem that has deprived much assurance to social security. Take a look at what the revelation of the Committee of COSASE provided on the payment structure of the aviation sector. For instance, the CEO earns 87 million, Director Maintenance 80 million, Chief Finance Officer 73 million, Manager Finance, 58 million. Human Resource Manager, 43 million. Manager Information Technology, 36 million. Manager Cargo, 14 million. Last but not least, cabin crew, 2 to 4 million. Pilots, between 50 to 60 million. Such revelations have opened a Pandora's box for discussion over the culture of lords and serfs, and my first area of thought was the parliament, which is the fountain of legislation.
It is so unfair what is going on in this country. When you look at how some people earn and how the rest of the others earn, it is so unfair. There is a lot of injustice going on in the country. In this same government, this regime, you find one person, a driver in the ministry, earning 700,000. But a same driver in one of the projects in the ministry earning 70 million.
We can ask ourselves, in 60s, 70s, people were earning salaries according to books, the nature of work. Now here we are. We have somebody by this morning, someone can just say, you are on this scale, without any following any legal procedure or salary procedure, which is giving somebody to think that even in parliament, it's now the only institution where someone is earning a lot.
Upon such grievance, discussion for proper administration and equal distribution of resources and privilege takes center stages.
It's you that already say that they've been gifted with authority. Whoever is given power earns a platform to benefit. Yeah, we gifted them to enjoy. What else can we do except cursing? But government salaries are unlawful. We the common people do a lot but earn less.
So now the most fundamental questions we ask ourselves, whether it is possible to avoid salary differences.
It's true, they work, but they earn abnormally. Perhaps they are paying themselves, maybe for the hard work put in for education, but let it be so.
Deliberate effort as an organization to ensure that your people are paid equitably, okay, fairly for what they are doing. You will not get all of them getting the same money, you get it. But the kind, when we are determining pay, we are looking at the kind of work that you are doing, the kind of experience you have. What are the risks of getting you? If you leave today, what is the risk that we face?
When you look at what members of parliament earn versus the teacher, when you look at what the generals earn versus the corporals, when you look at what the professors earn versus the lecturers, there is a lot of injustices going on in the country. And I want to call upon this country, it's high time we think about a demand of a salary review commission. Let people earn. We don't say that people can earn the same. People can never earn the same. But the difference between the highest paid versus the lowest paid must not be that unjust.
Finding a lawful perspective on this conflict would be an interesting quest.
When you go for benchmarking, kindly the government should implement what we come up with in regards to reports. So some countries are not in this. Uganda is the country where you find everything is at mess. As you're talking about salary, tomorrow you see this. Now doctors were increased, their salary was increased. The taxi has also increased. You're earning 3.5, government takes 1.7. Now someone claim a member of parliament getting 11, they take 5, almost a half.
Man has never been equal since the medieval times. However, one would prefer to think we are past that.
Sometimes they are there when they are not fair. When they are not fair, they cause issues in an organization. When they are understood by everyone as equitable, they don't cause any problem. When it is a disparity, when it comes up as a disparity, it comes most of the time in a negative way, as an issue that needs to be attended to. But differences are okay. Because people cannot be the same.
Besides salaries and wages, there is more to what society can find complementary to the custom monthly or daily payment.
The focus should not be on money, because people will stay for something more than money. But if there is money, let us have equitable pay. Let us have salary bands in place based on the grades. Let us do salary surveys, by the way, because if you don't do, you benchmark. If you don't benchmark, then you're paying out of the blue. Probably you are depleting the entire organization treasury. You will not remain in business.
Bigger challenges lie ahead if at all staff and workers are underpaid.
Now you find a person in an authority who is under the ministry earns 20 times his supervisor in the ministry.
The setup, the settings, the government is low because it's in charge. Ugandans are not in charge of this mess. It's the government is low to put things right.
Banditunulidde muntu wa wansi ne bajja nga bambuka mpola mpola, step by step, step by step.
They should focus on the layman, starting from the bottom, graduating gradually to the top. You understand? But the poor and less, and the rich and much, which means they are playing by the biblical scripture.
Demand or desire for an increment takes different approaches depending on where you work from.
You must have a board that standardizes salaries across government. That also includes for MPs, because MPs are the only workers who set salaries for themselves. How can you set a salary for yourself? In Uganda, there is some Mugabe TSA. If you ask me to distribute a cow, I'll take 99.9% and give the rest 0.1%.
Whether it is possible for us to have the same salary, in spite of the fact that we are different in perception, different in attitude, different in our levels of professionalism, different in the way we look at things, but also different in skills and ability. So with all those differences, is it really possible to address matters of salary disparities? My name is Fred Makuya. We continue to drive your business. This is Smart 24 TV. We drive your business.
All right. Many thanks for being part of business today. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We've been coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi on sign language. Till tomorrow, have a blessed night. Good evening.